Okay, we're finished in Hiroshima City. To recap, we found the Hibagon, Japanese Bigfoot, under the names Enko, Super Monkey, and Kawazaru, River Monkey. He was making trouble here 400 years ago, breaking into houses and stealing food, and stealing people away, sometimes for people food, but other times to marry them, forcibly marry them, and even make hybrid offspring with them. The government, the lord of the realm, responded. He changed the name of this river to Enko River. It looks like to serve as a warning and mark a sort of boundary. Can you imagine any government today changing the map to read Sasquatch River, do not trespass, or Bigfoot National Forest, humans stay out, or maybe even Sabe Nation Reservation? I think that's about what old Mori Terremoto was doing, and I'm glad he didn't go on the offensive against these creatures. That would have been pretty hopeless. I think he was smart enough to see that. So all of that is pretty good background and support for this guy, what we call today the Hibagon, this guy. Now, readers of the book can verify I have many Japanese legendary in quotation marks, creatures that resemble the Hibagon on 2, 3, or more points, like the Daidarabochi, gigantic monsters that stomp around the mountains, leaving enormous footprints. Big footprints. But I separate these creatures into second-class and first-class references. To be in my first class, you need to have more detail, like a clear location, a clear time frame, specific encounters or events. Sometimes we have names of eyewitnesses. The Enko is a first-class reference, and I have a few more, so let's get going. Now, this bus is going to Gifu Prefecture, up here. Now today, we're here on Hibagon business, and that's too bad. One of my hobbies is metal detecting, and Japan must be the best place in the world for that. So many wars, so many battles, so little flat ground, so much concentration, so many castles. My city, Fukuyama City, has the ruins of 50 castles. You really have to come metal detecting with me sometime. Gifu is a kind of crossroads of Japan, the stranglehold linking or cutting east and west. If you think that I, a humble grizzled old varmint hunter, am the first person to recognize this, you're wrong. All the old warlords knew it, and they had a saying, "Who controls Gifu controls Japan." This is prime metal detecting country. It is also, you can see, mostly all mountains and landlocked. So if for any reason you wanted to get away from people, if you wanted to get away from the Japanese people who hug the coastline, and if you weren't too fussy about living in a cave and sharing the forest with pit vipers and double-jawed land leeches, and if you were fine on a keto diet of wild boar sashimi, this could be very attractive real estate for you. And Gifu has a first-class Hibagon tradition by other names. They called it by different names. One is Satori. Very interesting name. The word means consciousness. Here is a picture labeled Satori from the 1779 book The Konjaku Gazu Zoku Hyaki, which means the 100 illustrated monsters from the present and the past. It's a kind of paranormal bestiary. Why consciousness? Well, let's read it. It says that people meet these things in the mountains. They are able to read your mind and speak your thoughts out loud faster than you yourself can think them. Now, some said that they were incarnations of mountain gods. Well, that's interesting. That's what some people said about the Hibagon. These Satori would approach people's mountain huts, and they would kill you and eat you, not necessarily in that order, if they had the chance. But on the other hand, if you surprised them, you could scare them and make them run away. Okay, the mind-reading Satori. Kind of sounds like the mind-speaking Sasquatch of North America. Maybe I'm just imagining that. Maybe I'm just making all this up. Maybe you can read my mind and tell me. Gifu people also called these beings Kakuen or Kakuzaru, black beasts or black monkeys. So again, a clear primate reference, using the only primate that they knew. Well, this is a Kakuen or Kakuzaru from the Wakan Sanzai Zue from 1712. This is translated the Illustrated Sino-Japanese Encyclopedia. It was meant to be a collection of all the best knowledge amassed at that time, compiled by Dr. Terashima, a doctor in Osaka. Dr. Terashima, as the title of his book kind of tells you, leans heavily on Chinese sources. So some of his information is from China and some from Japan. It's a mixed bag. Now, the Kakuzaru is said to have a monkey-like form, but it's bigger than a monkey. Well, how big? Well, the size of a donkey. That's pretty big, so it's not a regular monkey. Now, this guy is a little flattened out, a little decomposed and flattened out, but he might have been the size of a donkey. These black beasts, or black monkeys, understand human language, like the Satori, and can read men's minds. Well, that's also like the Satori. Okay, so they have that going for them, but they also have a bad habit of carrying away human females and marrying them, forcibly marrying them. Oh, dear. Does that sound familiar? Have we heard that anywhere before? Hey, should we at some point believe these people from the past? Or should we just call them old fools and liars? Well, anyway, let's go on. These Kakuzaru were supposed to live in villages. They lived in villages. That's an interesting word. In the deepest parts of the mountains. When they encountered humans, they distinguished females from males by scent. and targeted our women for abduction, forced marriage, and forced procreation. Women unable to produce hybrid offspring were released and sent back to their own people. Now, women kept for 10 years or more would become like Kakuzaru in both appearance and mind, and lose all will to leave. In the western parts of China, our doctor notes, there are similar beings, all female, that abduct human males and forcibly marry them. Okay, I don't like that very much either. The people of Gifu had one more name for these beings, the Kurombo. Now, I know some of you are getting a little impatient with me with all this boring history stuff. Just one more for today. Kurombo means black person, black man. That's the basic translation. You can check this out in the Wikipedia article, the 1945 Katsuyama killing incident. There, the word is used in reference to 3 U.S. Marines, African American Marines. But this name Kurombo was given to these creatures, or one anyway, one certain creature, hundreds of years before the Japanese ever saw or even heard of African Americans. So this is very interesting. Whereas most other names for Hibagon pick up on the primate aspect, with monkey being their only idea of a primate, this one brings out his humanoid or human-like aspect. Well, there was a Kurombo attack in a village called Neo, now part of Motosu City in Gifu Prefecture. You can find that on Google Maps. There was a woman who lived beside the Senjo River. Okay, living by the river again, like the Enko River. Now, a strange, black, phantom-like man appeared every night outside her house, and I'm going to take this phantom business as pointing to his stealth. He was a stealthy fellow. I think he was able to get in and out of this village like a stealthy phantom. You know, phantom. That would be a really good name for a cat burglar. Oh boy, the phantom struck again. Well, anyway, he kept coming around and trying to marry her. I guess she smelled really good. The villagers kept watch around her house. That was a good idea. But the nighttime visitor just stopped coming. And when they disbanded the watch, well, then he started coming again. And this went on and on. Now, the woman, she got to sleeping with a sickle by her side. And one night when the phantom came around, she cut him. She cut his arm, and he ran away. The villagers, probably in their pajamas and nightcaps, they followed his blood trail up into the mountains to the house of a woodcutter, a simple woodcutter by the name of Zembe. Now, the blood trail went right through Zembe's house, in through the front door and out through the back door, and continued up farther into the mountains, and finally the villagers lost it. Well, they came back, knock, knock, knock. Hey, Zembe, what the heck is going on here? Everybody wanted to know. Now, Zembe confessed that there was a Kurombo, but he was a friendly Kurombo who sometimes helped Zembe with his work, maybe carrying logs, I don't know. Now, after this, the Kurombo never showed himself again, not to the woman that he was in love with, or at least whose smell he was in love with, and not to poor Zembe, who lost a good friend and helper. Well, this story is in the 1803 Kiyowazaki. Okay, so the people of Gifu had a creature that they called the Satori, the Kakuen or Kakuzaru, and the Kurombo. It seems he had primate qualities and human qualities. He was black and clearly intelligent. Looks to be all the same creature. The thing we called the Enko down in Hiroshima. Or, in recent times, the Hibagon, Japanese Bigfoot. I'm Kyle, and I'm trying to put together everything that anyone could possibly know about these things. This is the video supplement to the book. I'm going to go home now and barbecue a chicken. And I hope everybody has as good a weekend as I'm having. All right, I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.